In 25.3, CockroachDB's LDAP support gains a highly anticipated feature, and that's automated user provisioning. Today, I'll show you how you can use an LDAP server. I'll be using LLDAP, although the same would work with Active Directory, Microsoft Entra ID, and OpenLDAP, and the like. I'll start by creating some certificates. Note that I'll be sharing certificates between Cockroach and LLDAP. You'll want to do this differently. I'll launch LLDAP and expose the SSL LDAP port 636. And then I'll start CockroachDB and open up a SQL shell. Note that RC here simply stands for release candidate, and that's because I'm using the release candidate build of CockroachDB. By the time this video is available to you, it will just be Cockroach. Next, I'll make sure that my logs include all login attempts. I'll redact sensitive settings, and I'll enable LDAP user provisioning. All that's left to do now is configure my host-based authentication, my HBA. I'll target my local running instance of LLDAP on the SSL port 636. I'll authenticate with the user admin and password, and I'll only authenticate users who are part of the beanabouttown.com domain. Let's say this is a coffee-based e-commerce business. I'll copy the CA certificate to my clipboard and make that available to CockroachDB. And then I'll create some objects. First, the database itself, a product table and some products, and an employee table and some employees. Next, I'll create some roles. These will be mapped to LDAP groups, and these are the only permission-based things I'll have to configure in CockroachDB. Any LDAP user in the matching e-commerce group will gain full access to the product table, while any LDAP user in the matching payroll group will gain all access to the employee table. If I try to log in as the product service user now, I won't be able to because I haven't created the user in LDAP yet. Let's do that now. I'll click Create User, add my product service user here, set their email address, noting the email domain, and I'll set a password. While I'm here, I'll also create the payroll user, their email address, and their password. And now I'll create some groups. One I'll call e-commerce, and that will match the e-commerce group that I created in CockroachDB, into which I'll add our product service user. And another group I'll call payroll. That will match our payroll CockroachDB role, into which I'll add our payroll service user. If I immediately log in again as the product service user, I now not only have access to CockroachDB, but I can also search for products. But because I'm not a member of the payroll group, I don't have access to employee information. Contrast this to what we see with the payroll user. They do have access to employees, but they don't have access to products, just as expected. Showing the database users, I can now see that our payroll service user and our product service user have both been provisioned via our local instance of LDAP and are automatically added as members of those groups because of the association with those groups in LDAP. If a user were to leave the company, let's say our product service, logging into the database again will this time fail because there's no longer a user in LDAP with that name. For CockroachDB administrators wishing to provision users via LDAP, your workflows have just got a whole lot simpler. Give 25.3 a try today to get an idea as to just how easy this has become.